Hello, everyone. This is Tell It Like It's Art. I'm your host, Luca Sacher, and tonight with us, Kristhyan Benitez. Welcome, Kristhyan.
Hi, Luca. How are you? How are you?
Maestro, how
Oh
are you
my God.
doing? Of course you are. If you are not, then I don't know who is.
Well, thank you for the introduction. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. You're talking to us from New York City.
I am in your city, and in Trieste, it looks very, very bright right now, right? It's like
Yes, yes, I really like
uh,
that. It's 8 p.m. and it's still bright out. Yeah, yeah.
Italian summer is great.
Oh, I love summer here. It's
Yeah.
so good. Yes, summer anywhere, but yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Christian, you're a pianist for anybody who doesn't know that. And you've just recently, last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've released two albums that I listened
Yes.
to.
Yes, I did. So, you know, part of the plan was to release one album per year, but because of what happened with the pandemic, then I actually had the opportunity because I think there was like I was just like lucky, despite all the bad things that were going on, to release the second album in the middle. Like actually, it was in the summer, so August 7, 2020 was the release of the second album, which was released with Stanway and Sons label.
I saw. That's very
And
exciting.
yes, yes, I'm
Wow.
really, 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 really happy about that project. And this is going to be the first volume of a series of albums that are going to
Uh-huh.
contain Latin American music for piano.
Very nice. So, are you the only pianist who's participating, or will there be other artists who also play in it?
Well, for now, I am the only pianist. We're doing this project simultaneously with the Spirio project with the yeah, so the music is going to be in the Spirio catalog. So for people who doesn't know what Spirio is there like the high tech, high resolution, they call it resolution piano. So mainly what it does is it records the speed of, with an amazing technology, the speed of how you play, and you can actually listen to real pianists, playing there, and they've been doing an amazing job there. They rescue the piano rolls from Gershwin, and they have Horowitz also there. So it's having a piano in the living room of your house, and then just press play, and then you can choose any pianist in the history of music. And I'm so honored to be part of his catalog, and also representing the catalog with Latin American music. So it's yeah.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You're a Steinway artist, I
I
also
am.
found out.
I
Yeah,
am. Yes.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm gonna share a story. So Christian and I met in Boston. I was a student, and I don't think you were a student there anymore.
No.
But you had gone, and we studied with the same teacher, with Michael Lewin.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
um, at some point, I remember I was learning. It was my year that I was like gonna practice, my fingers and things. And so, among the things that I worked on was Mendelssohn Concerto and Michael G minor. And Michael said, Luca, if you can and if he can, go to Parisian because he knows he's played every concerto that there is, and he can definitely help you. And you did. But he told me, and then I'll let you tell us about it, that you've played a lot with the orchestra back home, which is amazing.
Yeah. 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 I was having like this project with Simon Bolivar Orchestra back in Venezuela, and some of the concerts were already planned, scheduled ahead of time, but some are ones were just like last minute um, things that happen. So I have a couple stories about that. But the Mendelssohn was actually uh, was not supposed to happen as Mendelssohn Piano Concerto, and it was changed 2 weeks before. So it was, a very like stressful
How
moment.
old were you when this
I'm
happened?
sorry.
How
How
old
old?
were you? Yeah, when this happened.
I was like 20 something. I mean, not too young. Um, and I was actually living in Boston. I was studying with Michael at the time, and I remember like telling him, because every time I was going to a lesson with a face like, that looks like a tragedy, he's like, "Oh my God, what piece do you have to learn?" Like he knew, right? And then I said, "Well, I have to play in 13 days, Mendelssohn Piano Concerto number one." And he's like, "Have you ever played that piece before?" I'm like, "No." Um, I mean, I know the piece, but like I never played it. And then he was like, "Okay, so you know what you're supposed to do." And but at the same time, like every time we were learning a piece so fast, at the end, he's like, "Oh my God, I was so stressed when you told me that." Like it was really. But he was like, at the moment, just like, let's focus on the
Work
work,
mode, yeah.
and let's just do it. And the other thing what happened was that I got, during that period, I got food poisoning, and something happened with my ear. I got like burned part of my ear with like, ah,
What?
no, like this time with medicine was like tragedy. So I had to fly to Venezuela earlier. I was going to a hospital in Boston, and they were like, "No, this is just food poisoning. Just take Advil, and that's it." And I kept, being completely dizzy. I was standing up, but I felt like everything was, moving. And I was telling Michael, like, I feel horrible. I think I have to go home to go, like, to like my doctor, whatever, to see if they can prescribe something stronger or something. And I took a flight feeling like that. I got home maybe like 6 days before, so I had like 6 days less of practicing because I was planning the whole time. And what happened was that one of the little like bones, conduct, whatever, in the ear, like the labyrinth, got burned. Because when I, sorry to share this, but like when I threw up, like the acids went all the way to my ear, like the left one. And I was feeling completely dizzy. And they gave me like an asteroid, like a thing. So I got better, but I was still, feeling not 100%. And I remember, so I went to the rehearsals, everything was fine.
So,
And
when did you practice in all of this? When did you learn the notes?
well, in between, I wasn't really like sleeping as much, I have to say, I have to admit. And the day of the concert, I start when the piano starts. Dun, dun. When I played the octave D there, I completely blacked out. Like I couldn't see. I was so dizzy, but then I closed my eyes and I continue playing the first phrase, trying to like keep, still, don't move as much. So I was trying not to move. It was a really, I mean, it was fine at the end,
How
I
did
have to
you get to
say.
the end?
Well, I don't know.
But
Adrenaline, I
you
guess.
did. Yeah, adrenaline. I think so
I
too.
think so. I think so.
So, you became a superhuman for 30 minutes and you
And, and
played.
and I think like in general, we have to learn. I don't know if like all teachers or like all people like through your musical life uh, teach you how to like survive things like that. Like
You can.
if you have like a blackout of memory, if something like something happened, like what should you do? Like if a string is broken or something, we should have one class
On
in
class.
college that talks about that, how to control yourself, like in stage, like anxiety, or like all of these things, because you kind of like learn just from experience. And then my thought was just like, I have to be still, don't move as much, and just try to be keep up till the end. And fortunately, it's not as a long piano concerto, like 20 minutes,
Right.
23
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. There's a
it's
lot of
like,
notes.
so I was happy that it wasn't as long. But then I remember that the third movement, that it is a non-stop, and I was just like trying to not move. And then like I think like after half of the first movement I felt fine, but it was just like in the beginning I think I moved too much, and then still the head was not in shape, like the, yeah,
Whoa, it threw you
figure
off.
that.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
yeah.
I just lived one of my nightmares. I've had two nightmares like this that you just described. That I got to the rehearsal and they told me that we're playing Brahms 1, and I had never played Brahms 1. and it was horrible. It was
So like the Maria Joao Pires
yes,
experience, but she's a god.
exactly.
I mean, she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, she really can. That was funny.
And
Whoa.
what's your other nightmare?
My other one, it was another concerto, and it was a similar story. Oh no, it was actually it was a what were they called, jury, that I was supposed to do at Boston Conservatory, that wasn't gonna play my pieces. I was gonna play like other things. It's like I don't feel prepared. I don't know this. So that was it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, so we were talking about your albums earlier. Tell us the titles, and I think we could listen to something
Sure,
afterwards.
perfect. So
Let me tell
for
you what I have. Just I have one of the dances,
mm-hmm.
criollas, right? The parum, tarum, 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 tarum. The second one, I think, and Mañanita Caraqueña,
Yeah,
or Que no te quiera más, which was interesting to me because you'll tell us. But so, what should we play?
you choose,
Okay,
or
so I'm gonna.
if there's anyone connected, they can choose.
Oh yeah, we can do that. Uh, but I actually chose already. And we're
Okay,
gonna listen because I need to chill out after that story to Mañanita Carqueña.
okay, perfect.
Okay,
Sounds good.
and I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna cover us. Here it is. We are back. I'm just getting uh, the background set again so that you guys can see it. Anyway, this was a beautiful piece. Thank you for recording this. Highly recommend the albums to everybody. You can find them very easily, and everybody should go listen. It's beautiful
They
music
should.
that we don't always hear, and so it's twice a treat.
So basically, is there are like two different projects. The first one, the first album, was released February last year, and it's called Nosotros, Us. So it's related to Venezuelan music of all times, of different genres. And then what I was trying to do was to create kind of like this mixture of um, folk music, classical music, and commercial music all combined. To bring the audience that doesn't necessarily like classical music to enter to this world and saying like, listen, like, this is like a hybrid thing, and classical music is not boring, it's not scary. Like the other way around. Like with, again, with people who are like hate commercial music, or they don't want, like the same thing. There's a variety of thing of styles. You don't have to like everything, but this is just kind of like showing people a little bit about Venezuelan culture through its music. And it was an amazing experience, working with different artists, singers, drummers. And I even did this experiment with a friend of mine with electronic music. Uh, and I always wanted to do something, to experiment something with like electronic production, music production. But the only references that I had was Vanessa May, or like any other, like Beethoven Fifth Symphony with a like a background that was like boom boom, like or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something like that. And then I said, listen, this is not what I think about that. I think like music production is something amazing. You have, of course, you have different types of beat, different type of genre, different type of rhythm. But what happened if you are sophisticated enough to combine both and create this type of like experience? Because what I wanted to do was to create an experience, for people. So they were like walking through this piece that was like beginning of the 20th century, um, and then walk through using this like nature, like elements and all of that, and then we create this fusion type of thing. Now I loved it. It's one of my favorite tracks of the album. I think it's not common. It's different, um, but that kind of like opened a door for me to see. There's more to that I
Mhm.
want to like explore. Not necessarily like doing a remix of Mozart, not necessarily that, but just creating something,
Yeah,
uh, combining thing. I think that's
yeah.
something like is good. And then the other project is with Stanway, so it's Latin American classics. It's purely like original Latin American music. Latin music in general, like for piano, also like it's there's so much variety, and most of these composers they were friends and they went to school with the famous
Yeah, those
classical
ones.
music composers, like the old ones, exactly like and it's very interesting how they, the same way Chopin, creating like mazurkas or like polonaises, like using their like folk, or like Smetana, or like you have a lot of composers that were using folk music. Even Beethoven also was doing that. It's the same way that the Latin American composers did. It's just that, of course, like we are newer. We had like we're not as old, but we had a lot of culture, a lot of mixture. Like the African mixed with indigenous, and the European. So everything combined, it really creates a very tasteful, you know, selection, and I think it's. I mean, I love it. Of course, I'm from Venezuela, so I kind of like have to like it. But I think like in every corner of Latin America, you can find like jewels, and that's the main part of this project, to expose music from every different corner of Latin America, through an audience that wants to listen only to, I don't know, Beethoven or jazz. Right. And it's as difficult, as rich, and as important. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Um,
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's funny. One of the tracks, as you mentioned, is the Ginastera Danzas Criollas. That piece is not really played that often. They usually play the Argentinians dances. Like these ones are like a little bit weird because of course the language is a little bit more contemporary in a way. But actually, like historically speaking, he won the Rockefeller grant, and he composed that piece here in New York, and it's the first piece. Uh, Sorry, the Guggenheim grant, not the Rockefeller grant. The
Guggenheim.
Guggenheim, yeah, and it was the first piece where he start exploring, atonality and is the first composer ever that uses the cluster. So it is the first one. It is the first.
Really?
Yes, he didn't like wrote it as you write right now cluster or like more contemporary composers did.
So he spelled it
Um,
out, yeah.
but he wrote every single note and then there's a note in the bottom. Play with the palm of your hand. Like it's the first time he's kind of like exploring that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, then you get this new Ginastera, era, which is atonal, arrhythmical, like this, or like more like elasticity in music, less, harmonic, less tonal.
Yeah.
But this is a piece that marks like the before and after.
You see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
So
you.
it's also like there are a lot of things that are very important. Composers like in Mexico, for example, you have Carlos Chavez, you have Manuel Ponce. Manuel Ponce was like the romantic classical, composer of Latin America, and he did as many pieces as Chopin. And he had like ballades, and he has like, of course, in style of Chopin, like mazurkas, and he has like dances and a lot of things, trios, like chamber music. Like there are a lot of, that you can find there. So this is part of that. And Latin American classics is going to be, this is the first volume of it.
Yeah, very exciting. And so you know that you're gonna do another one, is what you're telling us.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So I'm now working on the second volume. So it's, as I told you before, it's going to be a joint kind of like release for Spirio and as a album to listen to. And now we're going to be more like focused on Brazil,
Hmm.
Costa Rica. Venezuela is always going to be there. I mean, I figure that there are a lot of things to show about it. More contemporary Mexican music is going to be there, and then we have Colombia, Nicaragua, Chile, Bolivia, and so on, Cuba. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a I mean, it's not it's a long project. It's a long project, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm so happy that Stanway, is happy about it, that they took this risk of like, let's show this different type of music, and people seem to like it a lot. I mean, I love it. I grew up with it, but for people that they don't really understand or they don't know culturally like where we're coming from, it's something really really nice. There's a fun story about that. I went to a tour through China in 2017, and half of the programs that I did were Latin American music, and it was so rewarding,
I bet.
when you were playing like, I don't know, like a Venezuelan traditional piece, and then like uh, the Chinese audience was reacting so warmly about it. It was like, oh wow, like, and to expose that to that culture, to go to our side of the world and then play that. I mean, first of all, for me, it was an honor and a big responsibility, but also gives them a lot of, like a different world you can explore. And I don't think China had as much cultural shock in that way as any other countries. Like, for example, Japan, they're very fan of Latin music, like salsa, like traditional music. You know, China not as much. So it's also good to kind of like expose things and always leave a little seed there. That's one of the things that I think they're more the most important thing, especially as a performer. You need to be able to leave something. It's not about the the rewards of getting the applause and then fulfill your ego, which of course we're gonna fulfill the ego anyway. Yes, but but there's more than that. There's more than that, and
For
and
sure.
it's if you're only playing or performing for your ego, then there's going to be a moment where you're going to like crash and nothing's going to happen. But then if you have the ability and you understand that wherever you go, whatever you do also
Yeah, of
creates an impact, and not only music, in everything in
course.
the world. That's the most important thing. So to teach people about music, or to teach piano, which I do, um, it's so important to me, and of course keep playing my concerts and create music, because one of the things also that the pandemic gave me was this time of like reflecting about, like, okay, should I start composing, should I start doing this and that, and then I'm taking risk about that. But I think that's also because the other experiences, it doesn't just happen randomly. I mean, at least for me.
For
So
sure.
it's you spread the seeds, but you're also getting rewarded in that part. Like your soul is getting feel this kind of like full of
Warm
experiences.
feeling
And
inside. Yes, like
yeah,
you're.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah, I
think
know.
it is very important. It is
Oh,
very
it's
important.
absolutely very important. If there's one thing that definitely changed, not changed, I will not say changed, but shifted. As you were saying, we have the ego, but not just that, we also have this idea of music as like this thing on it, by itself, that it's so important, right? And I feel like, especially when you go through your training and you're just within yourselves, right?
Hmm.
Pianists and musicians, and you don't have that kind of touch with, as you say, the audience, or like people that listen to us,
Mm.
right? And during this pandemic, that I've missed concerts a lot, I've realized how much the sharing bit is so important to me, because it gives
Of course,
meaning to it
of course.
all. That's what it
The
is.
conversation, I mean, not literally speaking, I mean, also literally speaking, but like this conversation about, like, I feel this way about this and you feel that way about that, and then like how an audience react to it, and like how the people, like what type of people goes to a concert, what are they looking for, but I think at some extent we took this for granted. We were just like so immersed in like different things. We're just like keep going, which I understand that as well. But we were losing kind of like humanity,
Hmm.
because it's although we were all connected through technology during the pandemic, and thank
Thank
God
God.
we had
Thank
technology, and
God.
thank God we had that,
Jesus.
and internet and all of that. At the same time, it was different, because we were just like completely like isolated from the world, isolated from the person that you had next to you, you know.
I
Uh,
know.
and it's important to have everything to your favorite, to use technology, to go to a concert, to have everything, but also don't lose what makes you human. And that's one of the most important thing, and that's what I look for, and I've been looking for that always when I perform. I understand, and of course, how is this music world is, like the perfection. If you go to competition, you have to play this way and that way, whatever. Sure. And I think we have to go through that as well. We need that type of training. We need that experience, right? I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but at the end, okay, you finish school, you finish competition, you have the age, you don't have the age anymore to go. So what do you do?
Uh,
And then when you have the opportunity to play a concert, uh, for me has been always, I need to make people feel something, good or bad. I don't mind. I mean, I'm not expecting everybody to like what I play, the way I play. Uh, I just need them to feel something. Oh, I don't like it, or yes, I love it. Oh, I feel so uncomfortable, or I cry, or whatever. And that's the most important thing. And I think I always choose that. Uh, um, over any other thing. If I'm being like repetitive, like in a repertoire, sometimes sure. If I need more balance, sure. But if it speaks to me and if it's gonna give me something, emotionally, and in that way, I can give people emotionally, through that music, then it works. At least now, and and there's a point where you can just play whatever you want. It
You
doesn't
are at
matter.
that point, so I hear. We have a
Yeah.
famous pianist here, you guys. No, but I mean, I'm sure that everybody that's listened to you has sensed your kindness, and that's what I remember. You were always just so supportive also at school, which is an environment that you can't take support for granted, among. But I mean, you are also above all of that, I feel, in the sense that didn't. I mean, I feel like you can be competitive, but at that point in the light in your life that I met you, I feel like you were beyond that. Correct me
And
if
I
I'm
think
wrong.
you have to be competitive, but you
Yes.
have to you have to understand like what does that mean, like you have to be competitive with who, with what, with because the first reaction is like, oh, being competitive mean that I have to be better than the one that is sitting next to me, and that's not true.
Nope.
You have to be competitive with whatever you put yourself as your goal. Like, I want to do this better and better. I want to learn this. I want to achieve playing at that concert hall. I want to do this and that. And you have to also understand that sometimes you don't get there as fast, or maybe you don't get there,
Right.
but like teach you, like, okay, there's another path to it, or there's a different path to get there.
Right.
That's the competition, I think, to get better every day. And you're never away from that, in a way. Like, I think even for me now, I'm thinking of, I'm working on a new album, like a new experimental album as Nosotros. But then I'm thinking about, okay, yeah, so the competition is what I I want to evolve what I did in that first experience. Like, how's the evolution going to work? What I want to do different? What I didn't like about the other album that I don't want to do it in this one, and so forth and so forth. So um, it's rewarding. It's rewarding, and of course, I mean, this is not always happy and positive, like, because you always have, and we musicians, because we're always like ups and down, like in a matter of 5 minutes, we can be happy and sad at the same time, and it's fine to be that way. But you have to understand that that also transforms you and makes you realize things. So bad experiences are also good.
Yeah. They
Um,
they are part of it for sure, and we try to cherish. Christian, um we are out of time because time runs fast when we have a good time, but I do want to play the danzas criollas, the second
yes,
one,
please.
right?
Of course.
And I think we
Yeah,
can leave with music. So
of
before
course.
we do that, everybody subscribe to my channel. But also you
Yes,
can
please.
find this. Did you subscribe to my channel, Christian?
I did.
Okay, good. Be like Christian. So all of the social media info for Christian, you find him there. Go follow him. Go see the albums that he's already released and keep up to date with what is going on. Christian, thank you so much for being with
Thank you, Luke.
us. It was a
So
pleasure.
great talking to you.
Yes.
That was a
I'm
uh,
sorry. Say that again.
it was a really good catch up.
Absolutely, yeah, because we
Yeah,
had not seen each other for a long time. That's for
long time.
the fans, but we will. So for next time I'm coming to the US, it's definitely gonna be New York first, and I have a lot of friends that I want to see. So I'll see you in New York.
Of course. Or I'll see you in Italy.
Or yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, anytime,
Thank
always welcome.
thank you so much.
All right. So here it is, Ginastera, Danzas Criollas, second one.